Alright, so we are starting the final. It is huge. My wings cannot fit. We're going to make this work. So, you are actually going to be working with these straight edges for your longer lines. You can use the normal rulers for shorter lines, but for your long lines, you're going to use a straight edge. So, what we're going to do is turn our paper. The first thing we do is create our horizon line, and we do that by lining up the edge of this with the edge of the paper. Remember, because I'm using wings, I line up still with the paper, not the wings, because it might not be correct. I'm going to draw my line. Then I'm going to line up with my line to finish drawing it. Ooh, that didn't turn out right. See, it's okay. Stuff happens. Okay. Erase if you mess up a little. Okay, so after you draw your horizon line, the next thing you do is draw your vertical lines. Or not your vertical lines, your vanishing points. So I'm going to come over on my wing. I'm going to draw V1 here, vanishing point 1. And then I'm going to come over here and draw my V2, vanishing point 2. So part of the challenge for this is that you guys need to try to draw at least 1 to 2 side streets. So give me 1 second. The way we do that is we come in, we gotta plan out our streets first, along with our sidewalks, just so we have that. I think I'm gonna make my first line a little bit more over into my right than usual. I'm gonna come in, draw it, I'm gonna stop it about there. And then lead that same point where I left off to V2. And then I'm not going to start yet. I'm not going to start doing my sidewalks yet. I want to finish out my roads. So I'm actually going to switch back over to a clear ruler so I can see this next part. I'm going to line up. Let's see. I want my sidewalk to be about that big when done. Then this is where my other road is going to be. This sidewalk is going to be smaller than the other one because it's further away. Now, like you can see, I didn't get my things all the way over. That's all right. I'm going to come in with this. And I can't see what I'm doing with that, so I'm actually going to turn my paper upside down so that I can see how wide I'm making things. I'm working on the wrong side, so I'm going to see how wide I'm making this. Okay. So I want this to be a little bit wider when I get there, so I'm going to kind of mark that, line up with that. Okay. Flip my paper back around, grab this. This I'm going to line up with my line that I already drew. And so far I have my 2 main roads, which is fine. But what we want to do now is bring in a second road. And this isn't going to be long enough for what I need, so I got to switch back. But before I do that, I'm going to erase the parts I don't need from this. And I'm going to come in and draw. You notice I'm turning my paper a lot, always lining back up with this vanishing point. Gonna come back in, draw this. This is gonna be thinnest probably because it's furthest away. And then I want this to come out to about here. So then there's that. Now I have 2 roads. So then I'm going to come in, erase, and there we go. Now I have 2 side roads and a main road, and I like that. So that's what I'm going to go with. Your goal is to try to make this a little bit more complicated. Also think about it this way, you're going to go with a theme. You can get everything sketched out and then start developing things into your theme as well. So I'm going to put this off to the side for now. I'm going to pause real quick and be right back. The way we continue from here. I am going to choose to start right here. I'm going to line up. I'm back to my small ruler. I'm going to start my first building. I'm going to line up with the bottom of my paper. Decide how tall I want it. I'm going to make this one about like that. Now, just like before, I like to turn my paper, lead it back to V2. I'm going to decide how wide I want it now. Lead it back to V1. Decide how wide I want it now. And then I'm going to come here, line up at the bottom of the paper. I want it to be this wide, so I'm going to come here, line up at the bottom of the paper. And then, as you can see, my ruler cannot reach the vanishing point. So this is when I go back to my straight edge. And then I'm going to take this one, line it up with V2. There's my first building. Erase what you don't need. Just make sure if you accidentally erase any of your road or your sidewalk, kind of just make sure you put a line down so you remember and don't get rid of it. So, key tip, you're going to need to have buildings in each of these corners unless it's going to be like an open lot. And I'll go over that the further in I go. So, there's my first building. Then I would come in, say I want to put a building right here next to it. I'd leave some space, line up, draw. I'm going to make this one taller. Lead it back to V1. I want it to be, this is going to be the only one on this one, so I know that I can come here to this corner and draw this line already. And then, once again, line it up with V2, decide how wide. I'm going to make this no wider than the one in front of it. Which means this is going to come down here. So, before I move on, I want to go ahead and start erasing the things I don't need. You erase as you go so that you don't get confused about what gets erased later. You will kill the erasers on your pencils really fast, so if you can remember to, go ahead and use a pink eraser. And see, I accidentally erased a little bit of the other building, which is an easy fix. And now, just like with this building, I gotta do the top because it is below the vanishing point, or the horizon line. Line this up with this. Draw it out. Ooh, that did not. Yeah, well, that's correct. And then that building is not done. Because you now have to take this little line, which was this, line it up with the vanishing point 2, Now that building would be done. You just kind of keep doing that. You would fill in one section, then the next, and then the next, and we're filling it up. Okay? So if you want to make skyscrapers, you can. If you want to make shorter buildings, you can. We don't want just one row though, so we want it to be staggered so we can see different things going on. All right, that is the end of part 1.